What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Copon. It's December 18, 2025, and this is Lift and Learn episode 149. In this episode, I'll talk about eating strategies for the holidays. You know you're going to eat good for the next week, so let's talk about how you can minimize the damage you'll do to your body. And then in the second topic, I'll talk about resetting and reflecting, so looking back at the last year and figuring out strategies to do better next year if that's something you want to do. Before we get into today's episode, I'll share what life has been like lately. Sometimes it'll be fitness related in some aspect. If you want to follow along, you can find me on Instagram at isaiah.copon or check out my website, isaiahcopon.com, where I offer personal training and coaching. The podcast also has its own page as well. That's at Lift and Learn Podcast. That's where I'll be posting short clips of the show. And now for today's episode. All right, y'all, we made it to the last episode of the year, but I will be back in 2 weeks when it's 2026, and then episodes should be nice and consistent to start the year. It's kind of crazy that I've been doing this for over 5 years now. It doesn't even feel like it's been that long. But yeah, next year I'll go back to an every week thing, still trying to figure out what day of the week works best, but I think I'll leave them for every Thursday for now, and then I might transition to Mondays, so we'll see. Now we have a week to go until Christmas, so you might even have a party this coming weekend or something, which is why the first topic for today has to do with eating strategies to not go overboard and set yourself way back before the new year starts. Before I dive into those topics though, let's talk about the last few weeks here. In terms of calories, I've been eating nearly 3,500 calories a day on average, setting myself up for like a 12-week cut and then seeing how that goes because my weight has stayed the same, but body fat has jumped nearly 3% since the start of October, so I feel like my top priority is bringing that back down. I'm up only about 3 pounds from when I competed for High Rocks over 2 months ago, and muscle mass went up a little bit, so that's always a good sign. Running has been harder since it's getting colder outside. There's snow on the ground that probably won't go away until like spring. My winter tires are on, so that's been fun to drive in. I've been back on my High Rocks grind, feeling better than when I was a few weeks ago when I was pretty much useless for like a week. Starting to run more frequently. I did one yesterday. Back to crushing the sled, doing my fair share of lunges and burpee broad jumps, all that good stuff. I'm just staying ready. And honestly, looking back at this last year, I feel great. I won't lie. It's become a lot harder to balance gym and life and family, but I really don't think it's as bad as people say. I think what worked for me is that I already built the habits for years and years already. So just tossing in raising a daughter in there made some things difficult, but not impossible like some people told me it would be. I could have used that as an excuse to not get shit done, but that's just not me. Yes, I worked out less than every other year, but I made the most of my time. I was pretty efficient this year, balancing everything out. I had to cut out a day or two of workouts to make it work, but all in all, this year was a success. So yeah, let's save some of that reflection for the second topic where I'll dive more into that, The workout routine that works for me right now is 2 or 3 full body days, typically along with 1 circuit style High Rocks day and then 1 day where I'm running. That's the bare minimum that I do on a weekly basis. And if I have other days in there, I could toss in another run or another circuit day, another bodybuilding style day, or maybe a yoga or Pilates. Just depends how I'm feeling, although I have gotten away from, the yoga or Pilates lately. I'd like to get back into that once again consistently. Something I really need to start incorporating into my day would be like 5 to 15 minutes of mobility, 5 out of 7 days of the week. I've been good this week though, I won't lie, because my rotation and my lower body mobility is something that is in dire need of improvement. Next week, that week of Christmas, I'm not working. I actually booked vacation days. I was kind of forced to. But regardless, that'll be exciting. I get to spend a few days with my family, still going to work out, that's no question. I know December 24th and 25th are going to be busy days. We also have parties on the 21st and the 27th, so I'll definitely be high calories all week, but I'm treating that Monday, December 29, like it's a new year, a little reset. So it's all about executing the plan at that point, but I'm ready. Not only to enjoy the next few weeks with seeing a lot of family and eating good, but excited to get back to my goals for the year. I think the biggest thing is getting back to tracking. The more tracking you do, the more information you have, and the more information you have, the easier it is to make small changes to get to those goals. It's simple, but tedious and annoying to have to do, but I'm going to get back down to nailing the small details. Topic 1. What are some eating strategies for the holidays? Now, of course, I had to cover this. Take it from somebody who's a pro at eating good during the holiday season, but doesn't really gain the bad weight, quote unquote. I've been perfecting this for over a decade, so I know this works. I can lay out all the groundwork, but actually executing is the hardest part. Personally, nowadays I have a lot of discipline and can restrict food and cut myself off when I need to, but that's a learning process that took years. But at the same time, I love the so-called bad foods. I love cake, ice cream, cookies, anything with sugar. You name it, I do still eat these things, but I figured out now how to still eat and enjoy these foods without going overboard and ruining the next week of your life. And no, I will never completely cut out those foods because they're my favorite. They're the reason why I even work out in the first place. And if I can't enjoy that food, then what am I really doing all this for? So if you want to survive the holiday season, and really any season or any time that's kind of based around food, like maybe your birthday or Thanksgiving, maybe even just a typical Saturday night, I think this topic will help a lot of people because the strategy is very similar across the board. Sometimes, honestly, you just have to not overthink it, but at the same time, you have to remember to not overdo it, which, from when I talk to my clients, is typically what happens. What I usually hear from my clients is that, oh, I ate bad for lunch, so then for dinner I continued to make the worst meal decisions. So I had some McDonald's, a burger with the fries, apple pie, a drink, soda or Coke or on the side or whatever it is. Then I got home and had some ice cream that was sitting around in the freezer because I just figured I already ruined my day at lunch, so might as well keep going. Yeah, let's talk about that for a sec. Just because you messed up at lunch didn't mean you ruined the whole day. It's just one meal. Ideally, you just get back to your normal eating and you'll be fine. What really ruins it is that lunch turning into a bad dinner with a late night dessert. Now, instead of just being over calories by like 500 or something, which is nothing, now you overate like 1,000 or 2,000 calories. Again, it's not the worst thing ever if it happens just one day, but if this is a regular occurring thing, like every Friday, Saturday, and or Sunday, then yeah, you're going to have a tough time losing weight if that's what you're after. And also your health, obviously, is not going to be in a good place if you repeat the strategy all the time. The first thing that I always recommend going into these big holiday meals is eat your protein first. I probably have mentioned this hundreds of times if you're a frequent listener of the podcast, but it's probably the single best strategy that will help the majority of people. Eat your protein first. I started thinking about this actually on Thanksgiving, honestly, to cover this as a topic, and then I completely forgot about it. So if you think about it, really, Thanksgiving is a day where you can actually get away with eating a really good meal. I think most people just go about it the wrong way. I mean, a typical Thanksgiving meal is centered around that turkey or ham, whatever you decide. It's usually a big protein-centered meal though, but people tend to go a bit overboard when it comes to the carbs or the stuffing or pie or whatever it is. This is why the first strategy would just be to prioritize protein first. It'll fill you up a lot more compared to carbs, and your body will actually use more of those nutrients for recovery in the body. I know this is typically only about how you eat, but I'll usually recommend working out in the morning of this meal, but being Christmas and all, I know that probably isn't going to happen. Personally, I'll strategize my day. If I know the dinner that day is going to be full of amazing, good food, usually more fattening than my typical day, I'll do a workout in the morning, do some extra cardio, eat a bit lower calories for the morning, and that way when it comes to the dinner time, I can really enjoy. I know that desserts are going to be around. I know there's going to be cultural foods that I don't eat on a regular basis, and that's fine. If you prepare, yeah, you might be over your calorie intake that day, but don't stress about it. That'll just make things worse. Now, keep in mind that I didn't say I'm going to starve myself going into the holiday meals. I still eat, just slightly lower calories than normal. Probably the worst thing you could do is starve yourself, because then that's when you'll likely overeat. You'll feel stuffed most likely, and then your body just kind of freaks out because you waited so long to eat, so it'll hold on to that food and store it as body fat. There's a more likely chance of that happening. All right, so going back a bit, this is very similar to something I do when it comes to eating out on weekends. Now, sometimes I don't really care. I can usually make good food choices when I do go out anyway. If I go for a burger, I'm not making it a combo. The fries and sugary drink isn't worth it for me. For example, if I were to go to McDonald's or something, I'm just going to grab a Big Mac or a double Big Mac or a McChicken. I'm not going in there with the intention, of getting the burger with French fries and a drink with a McFlurry on the side. Now, the McFlurry I will get occasionally, meaning like once or twice a year. Or maybe I'll just grab nuggets, like a 10-pack or something. It's usually not overkill. Now, when I go to Shake Shack, oh my God, this has been a problem lately because there's one like 20 minutes away from me now. I'll grab a burger with a double patty, and then now I'll split the shake with my wife because that shake is like 700 calories alone. So that meal, if I eat that meal by myself, that's already 1,500 calories, give or take, according to my fitness pal, and that's probably undershooting it a little bit. If I were to also get fries and another drink on top of that, now guaranteed I'm looking at like 2,000 or 2,500 calories, which is nearly my whole day of food. I mean, for most people, that's their intake, and that's literally one meal. So, long story short, I'll grab the burger and half the shake if I get the shake, and that's around 1,300 calories or so for me, since I'm probably going to drink like 80% of the shake, let's be honest. And it's the same thing when you're around the holiday season. I'll usually eat pretty low carbs and then just make better decisions. I'm no longer going to stuff my face with dessert, but I'll definitely have a few. Growing up, my mindset was like, okay, I'm going to have a small dinner and just stuff my face with the cookies, cake, whatever else may be there. Now it's kind of the opposite, where I load up on the dinner a little bit more protein focused, less carb heavy, and then I'll have a bit of the dessert so I can still satisfy that craving before we have to go, I guess. I don't know, before the night's over. Listen, I want you to enjoy the desserts and foods and all that. I don't want you to get rid of it completely, because that's also not healthy, especially mentally, if you actually enjoy those foods. Just don't overindulge, which is easier said than done. But if you're really paying attention to your hunger levels, eat about 80% full. Eat till about, 80% full, and then take a break between plates, maybe socialize, have some water. I feel like that's missing a lot from these times, just not hydrating enough. So pay attention to that for sure, especially around this time. Make sure to drink your water, hydrate. I know this is where I slack off a bit too. I completely forget about drinking. And then I'm looking at the dessert table, having all the cookies or whatever else there is, maybe cupcakes and donuts or something. But I need to remember this year, stay hydrated, drink water, and you'll feel fuller, as opposed to just binging on the foods that taste really good that you might not eat on a regular basis. So that's going to be my strategy. I was just talking to another trainer at my gym, and he was telling me that, bro, it's not all about muscle mass, which reminded me that this is part of your overall health too. That's social health. Being around people you love, that's healthy too. Don't avoid that. Okay, maybe you have a bad relationship with family, then be around people you actually do want to be around, but still, the next week should be around people's company you actually enjoy. That's just as important as working out and having a good diet consistently. A big thing to realize is you're not going to completely undo all the progress you made in a week. It's that mindset of, oh, I ate bad during Christmas week, so I'll just start back up in January. One meal doesn't define your health. It always goes back to your habits. Another strategy that might help is telling yourself like 2 or 3 non-negotiables that matter most when it comes to holiday foods. And if we're talking solely about eating strategies, that might mean telling yourself, okay, if my aunt makes those cookies that I love, I'm only going to have 2 or 3 of them. If there's my favorite cultural dish, I'm going to have just 1 plate of that. So you kind of limit the damage as best as you can. At the same time, you're there to enjoy the culture and the holidays, so just be present in the moment. You could even do like a 80-20 rule that I'll do sometimes as well. So 80% good foods, 20% treats. Don't be like me before, where it was like 20% good food, 80% desserts. This puts you in a good place when it comes to trying not to overeat, when it's like 80 good foods, 20% treats, You know damn well you can eat those dessert foods all day and it feels like it takes forever to get full. And then what else do I have here? I already mentioned not to starve yourself before going into a big meal. That could backfire. If you starve yourself before the big dinner, now you're going in with an empty stomach, and then you're thinking you have all the freedom in the world to eat everything in sight. In reality, that probably does more harm than good, because you're likely going to overeat. You're eating with your eyes. You're going to feel stuffed, sluggish afterwards, and your body can't really break down all that food as much as it tries to. So it's likely that you'll retain some of that as body fat as well. So you can reduce it a little bit in the morning, but I wouldn't go into the meals purposefully on an empty stomach. And remember this one. Here's a quick little tip. Take a step back for a second. I also want to mention that you should think about savoring the food. That's just a simple mini hack, just like eating till 80% full. Actually slow down and enjoy the food. Sip water, talk to people, take a breather before immediately grabbing another plate. And listen, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. Hang out with the kids, hang out with the adults, check out the other room, whatever it is. Don't just stuff yourself and then sit around on the couch for the rest of the day. Some kind of movement tossed in here that's going to help boost your mood, improve your digestion. I bet you'll have better sleep that night too. It gets your body's systems going. The people who succeed long term aren't perfect. They're just good at course correcting. So when you're off for a meal, the next day you're back on track, not waiting for Monday or the new year to come around. If you have a heavy meal, it's fine. You just move on, get back to normal as best as you can the next day. If you overeat one day, make sure the next day you're hydrating and having a normal day of meals. If you skip a workout, then just do some kind of light workout or movement the next day. It really is that simple. Topic number 2, resetting and reflecting. All right, I'll try to make this quick. Last topic of the year, and I figured I'd make it a pretty chill one, but something should benefit everybody. Something that we all should do as this year comes to an end. We've got 2 weeks to go till the new year. Oh my God, it's crazy saying that out loud. Tons of time though for you to still spend some time off work and do this little activity to benefit yourself and make sure that next year you accomplish everything you need or want to. Here's the bottom line. You're not going to get to your body fat goals this year if you haven't got there already, and that's okay. Let it go. We're 2 weeks away from the new year. Now's not the time to think, oh man, I'm going to be seeing friends and family this year or next week and I'm fat or whatever it is. Time to starve myself for a week so that my self-esteem is higher. Nah, enough of that. Let's take a second to just sit back, relax, reflect on the year, and worry about what we can do to make next year better than this year, if that's a goal of yours. One of my clients who I will miss next year, I see him for the last time tomorrow, he told me that 96% of the year is complete already, and that just opened my eyes real quick. I mean, obviously I know the year's ending in 2 weeks, but that just goes to show that those goals you might have set for this year, if you didn't do them already, then you should probably just figure out how you'll do better for next year. But reflect on this year and figure out a plan that will work for you for the next year. I'm just going to think out loud for a bit here. That's why I have this podcast. For me, I think this year ended up being pretty successful. I started training for High Rocks in late March, started running again. A lot of things could have gone wrong, but it turned out to be a pretty good year in terms of this whole health and fitness thing, So in terms of my training, yeah, I'm not as strong as I have been before, but my main goal for the year was to complete a High Rocks event. I had that goal, and I actually wanted to do a decent job, and I did that. I ran for months and didn't injure myself, so that was great. That was a win in itself since I'm now 35 years old with a daughter, and I hadn't ran since high school pretty much. So we're talking like 17 years, which is kind of crazy. This year I had no major injuries, some shoulder flare-ups, some knee discomfort, but nothing that took me out of training for an extended period of time. I got leaner than I have since probably 2019 or something, and I felt great. I stuck to a training cycle, and it's because I had that goal. It was written down. My wife, thank you to all her support, but she had a countdown on the fridge leading up to High Rocks, and that was a really good reminder. I'd see it every day. At first, I was like, all right, whatever, 99 days to High Rocks, no big deal, I'm chilling, lots of time. And then it started to get to like 60, 40, and then it was like, wait, there's only 30 days left? Yeah, I'm only a few weeks away, damn, but it lit a fire under me and I needed that, honestly. Reflecting back on my last few years of training, I never had a real goal, so it felt like I'd be stagnant or stalling with my progress because I just work out to work out. After 12 years of working out, the tracking got tiring. I've been through the tracking my meals every day for years, tracking my workout every single day for years, and I needed that break from it, shifted my focus to the event, and things went smoothly, thankfully. Usually what happens to me is I'll start out doing something, maybe like, oh, I'm going to do 12 to 15 reps here. And then I fall back to what feels comfortable for me, which is lifting heavy for like 4 to 6 reps and then not tracking workouts, just going by feel. But I mean, yeah, now I'm tracking my workouts, getting that done, making sure I'm progressing, going forward. I have new goals for the new year that I'll talk about when the time is right, but just know I'm working even harder next year than I did this year. So my goal is to just keep on improving every day. And my goals, maybe I can reflect back on this episode next year, but part of my goals are to get faster when it comes to running, continuing that for this year, and also to, again, get leaner than I was this year. I got to around 17 or 18% body fat this year, I think, and I don't think that'll be an issue to beat that old version of myself. The second half of this year, in terms of fitness content that I've been putting on my socials, I think I've been doing a good job. Podcast back up and running for at least bi-weekly for the past few months. Been posting on Instagram every few days typically, although December has been a bit off. I have a schedule for that going forward. The scheduling has helped a lot when it comes to staying on top of everything. So yeah, this reset and reflecting can help you be more self-aware. It should theoretically help you from not repeating the same bad patterns that may have been happening over and over again. Maybe you only ate good in January of last year, you fell off completely in February, and then you started back up in May, fell off in July. Try not to repeat that again this year. Time to get rid of the excuses. That's just some tough love for you. Reflection will give you that clarity you might need. It's a fresh start to gain momentum in the right direction, and just be true to yourself. Whatever you might have screwed up this year, it's fine. Write it down, let it go. But how are you going to do better for next year? Or starting this coming Monday, whatever it is. Have a plan. That's how we do better going forward. Learn from those mistakes because we all fail. Failure is part of the process. They say diamonds are created under pressure. You can't experience true winning without losing first. So feel bad about yourself for a bit if that helps. But when you're ready, wake up with this new energy and character that says, I'm going to be better now. For myself and not for anyone else. It's all about constantly learning and thriving with proper structure. For me this year, 4 workouts a week were better than 6. And I realized that nutrition is better when I think of the future and prep ahead of time. When it comes to resetting, I think I kind of did that pretty recently. Lately, I've been needing a clean environment to feel like my brain is not so cluttered. As a family, we cleaned up the place, cleaned out the fridge, got rid of some junk, and now we're doing our best to keep it that way. It's tough when you have a 1-year-old running around, toys are everywhere, but we do our best to stay on top of things. Cleaning the fridge so that you know what's in there at all times. The meal prep can be done. Vegetables are right there, ready to be used, not just hiding in the back, going bad before having to throw them out. I cleaned out my gym bag to make sure that was ready to go too. I challenge you all my listeners to do the same. Reflect on how this year went and think about and write down what you can do to improve for the next year. It doesn't even have to be fitness related. You could be thinking about career goals you might have had. Did you get closer to those or did you stay stagnant? Even though that's what you told yourself at the start of the year that you didn't want to do. And that concludes episode 149 of the podcast. If you do celebrate this holiday season, then Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'll be back in the new year. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Lift and Learn podcast. If you enjoyed the episode or the podcast as a whole, it would mean a lot if you left a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes are currently being released on Thursdays. You can find me, your host, on Instagram at isaiah.copon or visit my website at isaiah.com. If you want to follow the podcast itself, head over to Instagram and look up at Lift and Learn Podcast. Thanks again for listening. See you next time.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.